Your kidneys work every minute of every day, quietly filtering your blood, balancing fluids, regulating minerals, helping control blood pressure, and removing the waste your body produces just by staying alive. And yet most people rarely think about them until something starts going wrong. The problem is that kidney stress often builds silently. Long before someone is told their kidney function is declining, the body may already be dealing with reduced filtration efficiency, fluid imbalance, mineral disruption, and increased internal waste burden. But because the kidneys can compensate for a surprisingly long time, many people do not notice the warning signs early. That is why what you eat matters far more than most people realize. Certain foods can either increase the workload on your kidneys or help support the environment those organs need to function at their best. And while no food acts like a miracle cure, the right choices can help reduce strain, support healthier filtration, improve hydration balance, and provide nutrients that help protect kidney tissue over time. Because when people talk about flushing out toxins, what they often mean, at least in practical biological terms, is helping the kidneys do their job more efficiently while lowering some of the daily burdens that make that job harder. And that is exactly what we are covering today. I'm Dr. Marcus Evans, medical doctor and physician, and on this channel we break down health topics in plain, practical language, so you can better understand what may be happening inside your body and make smarter decisions before small issues become bigger ones. If that sounds useful, consider subscribing. We put out evidence-based health guidance designed to help you understand not just what to do, but why it matters. Now, before we get into the 5 foods themselves, there is something important to clarify. When many people hear phrases like kidney detox or flush toxins, they imagine the kidneys filling up with vague, harmful substances that can simply be washed away if you eat the right superfood. That is not really how this works. Your kidneys are not dirty filters that need to be scrubbed clean. They are living organs, and what matters most is how much stress they are under, how well blood is flowing through them, how balanced your fluid status is, how stable your blood sugar and blood pressure remain, and how much inflammatory or oxidative damage they are facing over time. That means supporting kidney health is less about some dramatic detox, and more about improving the conditions in which your kidneys operate. Think of your kidneys like the filtration and pressure regulation system in a highly advanced water treatment plant. If the incoming pressure is too high, the pipes take damage. If the fluid supply is inconsistent, the system struggles. If the fluid becomes overloaded with waste, sugar, sodium, or inflammatory byproducts, the filtration units have to work harder. And if this continues day after day for years, efficiency begins to decline. So when we talk about foods that support the kidneys, what we are really talking about are foods that may help by doing one or more of the following: reducing excess sodium burden that can worsen fluid retention and blood pressure, supporting healthy hydration and electrolyte balance, providing antioxidants that help protect kidney tissue from oxidative stress. Helping stabilize blood sugar is one of the most important things you can do for your health, which matters because elevated glucose can damage the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys over time, and reducing chronic inflammation that may contribute to long-term kidney strain. That is the real mechanism, and this is where many people get misled, because some foods are marketed as kidney cleansers or detox foods with dramatic promises, when in reality they either do very little or they are helpful only because they support one of those underlying mechanisms. So in today's list, we are not focusing on internet myths. We are focusing on foods that make physiological sense, foods that can realistically support kidney health when used consistently as part of an overall kidney-friendly diet. But there is another reason this conversation matters. Many of the habits that damage the kidneys do not feel dangerous in the moment. Chronically eating too much sodium, constantly underhydrating, letting blood pressure remain elevated for years, eating highly processed foods that quietly worsen blood sugar and inflammation. Over time, those patterns create the kind of internal environment that forces the kidneys to work harder every single day. And eventually, that strain adds up. What makes this more concerning is that the kidneys are incredibly resilient. They can compensate for damage for quite a while before lab values change dramatically. Which means by the time many people are told something is wrong, the process has often been developing for years. That is why supportive nutrition matters early. Not because food alone can magically reverse severe kidney disease, but because reducing strain before major decline develops may help preserve function far better than trying to intervene later. And here is where people often make another mistake. They assume that if a food is healthy, then more must be better. That is not always true. Some foods that are beneficial for general health may need to be moderated in people with more advanced kidney disease, depending on potassium levels, phosphorus balance, stone risk, medications, or specific medical conditions. So throughout this video, I will also point out where caution matters. Because responsible health advice is not just about telling people what helps. It is about explaining when, why, and for whom it helps. Now, the 5 foods we are about to cover were chosen because they support kidney health through multiple mechanisms. Not because they are trendy, exotic, or difficult to find. In fact, several of them are foods you may already have in your kitchen. But the real value is understanding why they matter. Because once you understand the mechanism, you stop looking at food as random healthy choices and start seeing it as a way to influence the biological environment your kidneys operate in every day. And that is where smarter health decisions begin. But before we start the countdown, you need to understand one more thing. The most effective kidney-supporting foods are not necessarily the ones advertised most heavily online. One of the foods later on this list works not because it cleanses the kidneys directly, but because it helps improve one of the biggest hidden drivers of kidney decline in older adults. And another supports kidney health in a way most people never connect to kidney function at all. So if you want to understand not just what to eat, but why these foods can matter more than many supplements marketed for kidney detox, then the physiology behind them matters. Because once you understand what actually stresses the kidneys, the logic behind the list becomes much clearer. And that starts with the first major question most people never ask. What does it actually mean for a food to support the kidneys in the first place? Because unless you understand that mechanism, it is impossible to tell the difference between genuine support and clever marketing. And once you understand that foundation, the first two foods on this list will make a lot more sense. To understand why certain foods can help protect the kidneys, you first have to understand what the kidneys are responding to every day. They do not react to food labels. They react to internal conditions. Your kidneys respond to blood pressure, blood sugar, hydration status, mineral balance, inflammatory load, and the concentration of waste products moving through your bloodstream. That means a food becomes kidney supportive, not because someone calls it a superfood, but because it improves one or more of those internal variables in a meaningful way. And this is where people often misunderstand kidney health. They think kidney support means finding one magic ingredient that somehow cleans the kidneys directly. But in reality, most foods help indirectly. They support the kidneys by creating a healthier internal environment for filtration, circulation, and tissue protection. That may mean helping your body regulate blood pressure more effectively. It may mean reducing oxidative stress inside the tiny blood vessels that feed kidney tissue. It may mean lowering inflammatory burden, or helping maintain steadier hydration and fluid balance. And once you understand that, the first food on this list makes a lot of sense. Food number 5, berries. Berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are one of the most practical kidney-supportive foods because they deliver a high concentration of antioxidants and polyphenols with relatively low sugar compared to many other fruits. Why does that matter? Because one of the quiet contributors to kidney decline is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the damage created when unstable molecules known as free radicals build up faster than the body can neutralize them. Over time, that oxidative burden can damage blood vessels, tissues, and delicate filtration structures throughout the body, including the kidneys. Berries help because they contain compounds such as anthocyanins, flavonoids, and vitamin C, which may help reduce that oxidative burden and support vascular health. And kidney health is deeply tied to vascular health. Your kidneys are essentially networks of microscopic filtration units fed by tiny blood vessels. If those vessels become damaged, inflamed, stiff, or poorly functioning, kidney performance often suffers with them. That means supporting blood vessel health can indirectly support kidney function. But berries offer another advantage. Compared with many sweet snacks or processed breakfast foods, replacing high-sugar foods with berries may help reduce blood sugar spikes. And that matters because chronically elevated blood sugar is one of the biggest long-term drivers of kidney damage worldwide. This is especially important for older adults with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes. Now, berries are not magic. Eating a handful of blueberries, while the rest of the diet remains highly processed, will not cancel out major metabolic stress. But as part of a better daily pattern, they are one of the easiest foods to add. Practical use matters here. Frozen berries work just as well as fresh for most purposes. A moderate serving with breakfast, plain yogurt, oatmeal, or as a snack can be an easy habit to maintain. And this is important. More is not necessarily better. Large portions of fruit can still contribute meaningful sugar intake depending on the context of the diet. The goal is supportive consistency, not excess. Now here is where things get more interesting, because the next food helps the kidneys in a way many people overlook entirely. It does not just support filtration. It may help reduce one of the most common mechanical stresses placed on the kidneys in the first place. Food number 4, leafy greens. Leafy greens such as spinach, arugula, kale, romaine, and mixed greens can support kidney health largely because of what they contribute to blood pressure regulation, vascular flexibility, and overall metabolic balance. And this is critical. One of the fastest ways kidneys become damaged over time is through uncontrolled blood pressure. Think of the kidneys as containing thousands upon thousands of microscopic filters. Those filters depend on carefully regulated pressure. If pressure remains chronically elevated for years, those tiny filtration structures experience repeated mechanical stress. Over time, that strain can damage the filtering membranes and blood vessels inside the kidneys. It is similar to what happens when plumbing is forced to operate under too much pressure for too long. Eventually, the system wears down. Leafy greens may help because they provide potassium, magnesium, nitrates, antioxidants, and fiber, all of which may support healthier blood pressure and vascular function when part of an overall balanced diet. Dietary nitrates in particular can help the body produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and widen. That supports smoother circulation and healthier pressure regulation. And when blood pressure improves, kidney strain may decrease. Leafy greens also support another area many people do not associate with kidney health: body weight and metabolic regulation. Because greens add volume, nutrients, and fiber with relatively low calorie density, they can help improve meal quality while making it easier to maintain a healthier weight. And excess body fat is strongly associated with worsened blood pressure, insulin resistance, inflammation, and increased kidney disease risk. So again, the benefit is indirect but powerful. Now, there is an important caution here. For people with advanced kidney disease, certain leafy greens may need to be moderated depending on potassium levels or oxalate concerns. For example, spinach can be higher in oxalates, which may matter for some people prone to certain kidney stones. That does not mean spinach is bad. It means context matters. Healthy foods still need to fit the individual. For most people without those issues, however, leafy greens are an excellent addition. And the simplest way to use them is not through expensive detox juices. It is through consistent meals. Add them to eggs. Add them to salads. Add them to soups, wraps, bowls, or smoothies when appropriate. What matters most is regular intake. Now, if berries help protect the filtration system, and leafy greens help reduce pressure-related strain, then the next foods matter even more because they begin to support kidney health through deeper systemic mechanisms. Mechanisms tied not just to kidney workload, but to the broader metabolic environment that determines whether those kidneys remain protected or slowly deteriorate over time. And that is where the top 3 foods on this list start to separate themselves from the rest. Now that you understand the first 2 foods, the rest of this list becomes much more meaningful, because the top 3 are not simply healthy foods. They were chosen because they help influence some of the deepest underlying drivers of kidney stress circulation, inflammation, blood sugar regulation, and the metabolic environment that determines how hard the kidneys have to work over time. And this is where many people get surprised, because the foods that help the kidneys most are often not the ones marketed as detox miracles. They are the foods that improve the system surrounding kidney function. Let's continue. Food number 3, fatty fish. Fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, trout, and mackerel can support kidney health because they provide omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, which help regulate inflammation, support vascular health, and may improve several risk factors associated with kidney decline. Why does that matter? Because chronic inflammation is one of the quiet accelerators of organ deterioration. Even when it is low-grade, persistent inflammation can contribute to vascular dysfunction, oxidative stress, and tissue damage over time. And since the kidneys rely on healthy blood vessels and stable circulation, chronic inflammation can slowly worsen the environment they operate in. Omega-3 fats help because they may reduce inflammatory signaling in the body and support healthier endothelial function, the performance of the thin inner lining of your blood vessels. That matters because if blood vessels become stiff, inflamed, or dysfunctional, kidney filtration can suffer. Fatty fish may also support triglyceride control and broader cardiovascular health. And that is important because kidney health and cardiovascular health are tightly connected. Damage to one often increases stress on the other. In simple terms, healthier circulation helps create healthier filtration. Practical guidance matters here. Aim for fatty fish a few times per week when possible. Baked, grilled, lightly pan-seared, or incorporated into balanced meals works well. Avoid turning a healthy food into a kidney burden by preparing it in heavy sodium sauces or deep frying it. And that brings us to the next food, because while fatty fish helps reduce inflammatory and vascular strain, the next item helps address one of the most underestimated kidney stressors in modern diets. Food number 2, garlic. Garlic supports kidney health not because it directly cleans the kidneys, but because it may help improve several upstream factors that strongly influence kidney workload. Garlic contains sulfur compounds such as allicin, along with antioxidants and plant compounds studied for their effects on vascular function, inflammation, and blood pressure regulation. And this matters more than most people realize. Remember, high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of kidney damage. Everyday elevated pressure persists. The tiny filtration structures inside the kidneys are exposed to more mechanical stress than they were designed to handle. Garlic may help support healthier blood pressure and vascular function in part by influencing nitric oxide pathways and vascular relaxation. But garlic offers another kidney supportive benefit that is often overlooked. It can help people reduce sodium intake. One of the easiest ways to quietly improve kidney health is by lowering excessive sodium consumption. But many people struggle because food taste is bland when salt is reduced. Garlic helps solve that problem. It adds flavor and depth to meals, making it easier to rely less heavily on salt while still enjoying food. That may sound small, but for many people, replacing excess sodium with herbs, garlic, and spices is one of the most practical, kidney-friendly dietary shifts they can make. Because the issue is not usually the salt shaker alone. It is the cumulative sodium load from packaged foods, sauces, snacks, restaurant meals, and heavily processed products. Garlic can become part of a broader pattern that makes kidney-friendly eating more sustainable. Fresh garlic, roasted garlic, or lightly cooked garlic all work. Just be cautious with heavily salted garlic seasonings, or pre-made garlic sauces, which can cancel much of the benefit. And now we arrive at the food that ranks number 1, not because it is flashy, not because it is trendy, but because it helps support one of the most foundational variables in kidney health. Food number 1, extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil may be one of the most underrated foods for long-term kidney support because it helps influence the broader metabolic and inflammatory environment that determines kidney stress every single day. Kidney damage rarely happens in isolation. It usually develops in the setting of bigger systemic problems: poor blood sugar control, elevated inflammation, vascular dysfunction, excess body weight, metabolic syndrome, chronic hypertension. And extra virgin olive oil helps because it may improve several of those areas simultaneously when used properly in place of more harmful fats. It contains monounsaturated fats and polyphenol compounds associated with anti-inflammatory and cardiometabolic benefits. When used consistently as part of a healthier eating pattern, olive oil may support better cardiovascular health, improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammatory burden, and healthier vascular function. All of those indirectly support the kidneys. Think of it this way: if the kidneys are the filters, then extra virgin olive oil helps improve the quality of the entire system feeding those filters. That is why it ranks so highly. It does not work through a flashy detox mechanism. It works by improving the biological terrain. And in medicine, improving the terrain often matters more than chasing one isolated symptom. Practical guidance matters here as well. Use extra virgin olive oil to replace more inflammatory or heavily processed fats where possible. Drizzle it over vegetables. Use it in dressings. Cook with it appropriately at moderate heat. Incorporate it into balanced meals rather than adding it randomly on top of an otherwise poor diet. Because again, the benefit comes from substitution and pattern, not from simply pouring olive oil onto unhealthy food and expecting protection. Now, before you start adding all 5 of these foods to your routine, there is something very important you need to understand. Even the best kidney supportive foods can fail to help if the habits damaging your kidneys remain in place. And in some cases, people unknowingly cancel out the benefits of healthy foods every single day through a few extremely common mistakes. Mistakes that quietly keep kidney strain elevated no matter how many healthy ingredients they add. And if you miss those mistakes, you can do everything on this list and still wonder why nothing changes. By now, you know the 5 foods on this list can support kidney health by improving hydration balance, vascular function, inflammation, blood pressure, and the broader metabolic environment your kidneys operate in. But this is where many people go wrong. They add a few healthy foods, yet keep the very habits in place that are quietly damaging their kidneys every single day. And when that happens, they assume the foods didn't work. The reality is that supportive foods can help, but they cannot outcompete constant daily strain. Think of it like trying to repair a leaking roof while someone keeps punching new holes into it. Progress becomes difficult. So before you expect meaningful improvement, you have to remove the factors that may be overloading your kidneys in the first place. Mistake number 1, eating kidney-friendly foods while still consuming too much sodium. This is one of the most common problems. Someone starts eating berries, greens, garlic, and olive oil, but their diet still includes heavily salted soups, processed meats, packaged snacks, frozen meals, restaurant food, bottled sauces, and convenience foods loaded with sodium. That creates a major issue. Excess sodium can increase fluid retention and raise blood pressure, both of which increase kidney workload. And because sodium is hidden in so many processed foods, many people underestimate how much they consume. The kidneys then have to work harder to regulate fluid and mineral balance. So if you truly want to support kidney health, one of the most powerful steps is not just adding helpful foods. It is reducing the chronic sodium burden surrounding them. Mistake number 2, assuming hydration means just drink more water. Hydration matters for kidney function, but hydration is not simply about forcing down excessive amounts of water. Both underhydration and overhydration can create issues depending on the person. The real goal is steady, appropriate hydration throughout the day. Many people drink very little water, then suddenly consume large amounts at night or only when they feel thirsty. That is not ideal. Your kidneys generally function better with more consistent fluid intake across the day. Now, of course, fluid recommendations vary depending on body size, activity level, climate, medications, heart function, and kidney status. But the key principle remains. Consistent hydration supports kidney workload better than chronic dehydration, followed by catch-up drinking. Mistake number 3, ignoring blood pressure and blood sugar. This may be the most important point in the entire video, because many people focus on kidney detox while ignoring the 2 biggest drivers of kidney damage: high blood pressure and poor blood sugar control. If either of those remains poorly managed, kidney strain often continues regardless of how healthy the diet appears on the surface. Elevated blood pressure places repeated force on the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys. Elevated blood sugar damages those vessels chemically over time. Together, they can gradually impair filtration and kidney structure. That is why no food list matters if the broader metabolic picture is ignored. The kidneys do not care how healthy one meal looks. They respond to the total environment they live in. Mistake number 4, believing natural means unlimited. Another major misconception is assuming that if a food is healthy, more must be better. That is not true. Even highly nutritious foods can become problematic in excess. Large amounts of fruit can contribute significant sugar. Excessive supplements can burden the kidneys unnecessarily. And in people with diagnosed kidney disease, some otherwise healthy foods may need adjustment depending on potassium, phosphorus, fluid balance, or stone risk. This is why context matters. Health advice without context can mislead people. The right food in one situation can be the wrong food in another. Important caution for viewers with existing kidney disease. If you already have chronic kidney disease, kidney stones, reduced kidney function, or abnormal lab values, please understand. General kidney supportive nutrition advice may need modification for your specific situation. Some people with kidney disease must monitor potassium intake, phosphorus intake, protein quantity, fluid intake, oxalates, sodium very closely. So while the foods in this video can be supportive for many people, individualized guidance matters when kidney disease is already present. That is not fear. That is responsible medicine. Now here is the bigger takeaway. Protecting your kidneys is rarely about one miracle food. It is about creating an internal environment where the kidneys face less strain day after day. That means keeping blood pressure controlled, keeping blood sugar stable, reducing sodium overload, staying consistently hydrated, maintaining a healthier body weight, reducing chronic inflammatory burden, and building meals around foods that support those goals instead of undermining them. That is how kidney protection actually works. Not through dramatic cleanses, not through expensive detox powders, not through internet promises, but through consistent reduction of the daily burdens that slowly wear the kidneys down over time. And if you start making those changes before symptoms ever appear, that may matter far more than waiting until lab work forces the issue. Because once kidney damage becomes advanced, restoring lost function is often much harder than preserving the function you still have. That is the real lesson here. Your kidneys do not need miracle detoxes. They need less chronic stress. They need better daily conditions. And they respond to what you do, consistently, not occasionally. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. The foods you eat every day are either helping create an environment that protects your kidneys or one that slowly makes their job harder. And those effects compound more than most people realize. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more practical, evidence-based health guidance explained clearly and honestly. And if you want to better understand the warning signs your kidneys may already be under strain before lab work catches it, make sure to watch the next video because the body often gives subtle signals long before people realize something is wrong.